video, I'll cover everything you need to know about transitioning your toddler from a cot to a bed. I'll explain when to make the switch, how to emotionally prepare your little one for the change, tips to making the transition as safe as possible, and also strategies on how to handle situations where your little one keeps getting out of their bed due to their newfound freedom. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rena from Sweet Dream Sleep, a paediatric sleep consultant and a mum, and I've definitely been through my fair share of sleep challenges with my daughter when she was younger, so I can really relate to those of you wanting to improve your little one's sleep. So if you're considering making the change from a cot to a big bed for your toddler, let me run you through when the right time might be to make this transition. So to begin with, if your toddler has started climbing out of their cot, it's time to shift to a big bed. Safety is paramount after all. But before this switch, try these tips to see if it can buy you a little time and prevent your toddler climbing out of their cot. So ensure that their mattress is set to its lowest setting. And if your toddler isn't already in a sleeping bag, pop them in one. If they can unzip it, what you can do is place it on backwards. It might give you a little bit more time. However, if they're still managing to climb out of their cot, it's time to move them to a big kid bed. Also, if your little one has outgrown their cot, especially if you notice them hitting the sides of the cot, then it's really not safe and you want them out of that cot and into a bed. So, unless safety is a concern, I really do recommend keeping your little one in their cot for as long as possible before making the transition. Children under 2.5 to 3 years old will often lack impulse control, which can result in them coming out of their bed repeatedly, so transitioning too early can come along with its own challenges. So what I would suggest is, if your little one is happy and safe in their cot, hold out for as long as possible, ideally to as close as 3 years old if you can. When you're thinking about transitioning your little one from a cot to a bed, timing is really important. You don't want to introduce too many changes all at once, so make the transition when things are fairly stable with your family. So you want to avoid making this change around the same time as big life events such as a new sibling, starting at school, or a new daycare or childcare setting. You really want to spread out these changes, so aim for the transition to be a few months before or a few months after any life changes. Also, if your little one's sleep has been a bit of a challenge, transitioning them into a bed might not magically fix things. In fact, I usually recommend it's a good idea to fix any sleep issues beforehand, and this will make the switch easier for them. Right, so you're getting ready for your little one to move into their big bed. It's really important that you emotionally prepare your child for this change. So a week or two before the switch, start having little conversations with your child about it. Let them know that they're growing up and they're ready for this big bed. Make sure that you set some expectations too, like staying in bed all night. And remember, setting these loving, firm boundaries gets a lot easier as they get older. Another great way to get your little one excited about moving into a big bed is to actually involve them in the process. So take them shopping for some new bedding, or even let them help you pick out the bed itself. You can narrow it down to a couple of options and then let your child choose their favourite. This way they feel like they've got a sense of control and they can get excited about the change too. And when it's time to set up their bed, get them involved. Trust me, involving them in the process will make the transition so much smoother for you all. Right, so now we need to make this transition as safe as possible for your little one. You want to think about possibly adding a stair gate at the top of the stairs, keeping the bathroom door shut, or any door shut really. Make sure that all the furniture is securely attached. Basically, you want to child-proof as much as possible. Lock any doors, any windows, tuck away any toys that could be a tripping hazard, and just make sure there's nothing in the way that they could climb on. Don't forget to pull up any blind or curtain cords, and also consider a bed guard as well, just for a little bit of peace of mind. Now, let's talk about how to handle those moments when your little one keeps getting out of their bed because of their newfound freedom. First things first, when you make the transition to a big bed, try not to change anything else in their usual bedtime or nap time routine. Keep the room exactly the same, the sleep environment the same. Put the new bed in exactly the same place that the cot used to be, and even let your little one settle to sleep in their usual way. The goal is to keep things familiar and consistent so that this switch is as smooth as possible. Now, some children will be totally fine, but for some little ones, once the novelty wears off, they might start getting out of their bed repeatedly. So if this happens, it's really important to address it as soon as possible and hold on to your boundaries. Calmly return them to bed, tuck them in, and say goodnight. You might have to do this quite a few times before they get the message, but do stay consistent. Another tip is that if your little one is having a tough time, you can offer to check in on them once they're asleep. This can be really reassuring for so many children and help them to settle back to sleep. So there you have it. That's everything you need to know about transitioning your toddler from a cot to a bed. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to drop them in the comments box and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day and I'll see you on the next video.